Hey everyone, so I'm finally coming to you with my whole in-depth breast reduction surgery. So let's finally get all the questions that everyone's been asking me settled across the board, all of them. So, I am going to answer as best as I can everything. I'm going to make it as in-depth as possible. This is not going to be a short video. As you can see, a lot of my videos are pretty long, but this is probably going to be the longest. So, stay tuned, grab yourself a cup of tea, and listen. Okay, so to start off with, before I go any further, I am going to leave timestamps in the description box below to answer all the questions. I'm going to start from the very beginning and go all the way up to the surgery date and go into recovery, how I recovered, and everything else. So to start out with, I have tried to get breast reduction surgery a total of 3 times. So the very first time was when I was really young. I was probably like at least 15 or 16. As I have told you in several videos before, I developed very young. I developed immediately around 6th and 7th grade. And it just went from nothing to, oh my God, where did these things come from? So I developed very, very young. It was not easy, but that's what happened. So I developed really young. Anyway, long story short, I had looked up, I don't know where I found out, about a type of breast reduction surgery that can be done through liposuction. I convinced my mom to take me out to see this doctor in Jersey to do a consultation about it. Again, I mentioned this in a previous video. They took a picture of my breasts. This was the first time that I got to see how uneven my breasts were. So, that never panned out, and it didn't go through, it didn't fall through. Okay, so I'm going to stop here and tell you what size I was. Or should I wait? No, let's talk about that first now. So before my surgery, at my heaviest weight, I was probably a 36 triple D. But again, I must reiterate, because my boobs were so uneven, I was always falling out. There was always spillage all the time. I never could find a bra that actually fit me perfectly. It was always too small, too big. It just was not fitting right. Okay. So once I lost weight over time, I went down to a 32 triple D. Now the number is always an indication of the bandwidth, and the cup is the actual cup that the breasts sit in. So I went from a 36, 30, 32 after I lost weight. And this was the size I was, I'm assuming, right before my surgery last January. Okay. Back to the second time I tried to get breast reduction surgery. So in 2011, when I was at my old job, I last minute decided to try again with the whole process of getting breast reduction surgery. I spoke to my primary care physician, saying to him that I wanted the surgery. He told me about a doctor. He did not give me an immediate referral. He just told me about a doctor to look up that was also within my network. And said, set up a consultation with this particular doctor. So I found her. Her name is Dr. Sachs. So we met with each other about a month later. I'm assuming, again, this is so long ago, I can't even remember exactly how long it was between me having that appointment with my doctor to the day that I met with the surgeon again. So we took some pictures, blah, 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 tried to put out to the insurance company for me to get the approval for the surgery. Right when I got the approval in the mail for the surgery, a month later, when they sent me in the mail that pre-approval, I was planning on leaving the country to go on a family trip to see my family in Panama. So unfortunately, for me to try and get this massive surgery, get it done, and then leave the country, it wasn't going to work. And at that same time, I was leaving that job. So it didn't pan out. So years later, I didn't have health insurance. It is what it is. Until 2 years ago. So 2 years ago, once the marketplace opened up, I got insurance. The first insurance I got, I didn't like. I never even used the plan. They didn't have any doctors in my area, so it didn't work out. Okay. So then the following year, after the marketplace opened up, I got a different insurance, and it just so happened that my original primary care physician that I had years ago accepted this insurance, and I went back to go see him. At that moment, over the years, I knew I wanted this surgery, but I kind of settled with myself with the idea like, hey, these are the breasts that I have. This is how it's going to be, and that's it. I just need to accept what it is. I lost a lot of weight still. Like I said, I will do a full weight loss story in another video, but I had lost a lot of weight, and like I said, my band size had gotten smaller, but the breasts never reduced in size. And with many women, they lose the weight, the breasts shrink. With me, that just never happened. They continued to sag and just be extremely uncomfortable. I still had back problems, even though I didn't have those necessary bra marks. I still had a strain in the middle of my back, and my lower back still, was bothering me. I just still had a lot of discomfort in here because I was always like this, because I was so self-conscious about my breasts and everything. So it kind of looked like a stick figure with two huge uneven balls in the front. That's what I looked like. So anyway, so once I got this new insurance and I was able to go see my old primary care physician, I mentioned again to him, with the thanks of my boyfriend, because he was the one that really, I know I keep jumping back and forth, but he was the one that convinced me to try it again and not give up. He said, I know you want this. I know this is something that would work out for you. You would be able to do so many more things. And, this is when I was really deep into my running and all that stuff. And he's like, I know that you need to try this again. So anyway, so I went and saw my primary care physician in, I'm going to say March of 2015. So I went and saw my primary care physician in March of 2015. I told him what I wanted. He had actually remembered, I remember you bringing this up before. He sent me back to the original surgeon that he had mentioned to me, Dr. Sachs. She somehow, I think she had remembered me. So anyway, so he said, go see the surgeon again. I think he had written a referral. I can't remember, but, to answer that question, did my doctor give me a referral to see the surgeon? I can't remember. I believe so, if that's usually how it works. So I'm going to say yes. So he referred me back to Dr. Sachs, the sweetest person in the world, the kindest human being I have ever met. I can't say enough about her. I saw my primary care physician, or my PCP, my doctor, in March of 2015. I got an appointment with Dr. Sachs that May, so March, April, May. Yeah, it was 3 months away. She's a very popular doctor. She gets booked up super quick. Her schedule is insanely tight. So that's why. So I had to wait 3 months to get an appointment with the surgeon. So her thoughts were, since my weight had changed from when I initially tried to get the breast reduction surgery, the point was, okay, so how do we prove to the insurance company that they should approve this surgery? So she wanted me to go for physical therapy to show off, like, why is it my back issues are the result of having large breasts. Unfortunately, my insurance company didn't approve of physical therapy, but they don't do physical therapy as a preventative measure. So that wasn't approved. So after we went through that whole spiel for like, let's say from May to like May, April, June, I had one appointment with a physical therapist within those 3 months, tried to get, insurance company to prove it. All that time spent, nothing worked out for that. So I saw her again, I think in June. So we went back in and she was like, all right, you know what? We're just going to take the pictures and submit it. In the meantime, I did get a mammogram and I had to get a sonogram to see if there were anything in my breasts to make sure everything was okay. So now we're talking about June. And some more time went by. I finally got a sonogram, mammogram in, I think, September, October of that year. Months have passed by. This is why I'm going to keep reiterating this towards the video. If you want the surgery, you need to start this now because it's a long process. Anyway, so I got the mammogram and I got the sonogram. This is where more time had to go through. So anyway, so I got the mammogram, sonogram. They found 2 lumps. Initially, they found 2. No, they found 3, and then I found, sorry. They found 2, and then I found 1 myself. So this was 3. I found 1 myself doing the check and found 1, it was around here. They found 2 deeper within my breast tissue, closer to the nipple. Anyway, so I had to get those biopsied. I had to get 2 biopsies within 3 months. So now we're talking November of 2015, okay? All that was done. They were all benign. She explained to me, look, I know this was a long process to do, but I wanted to be sure that there was nothing there that would needed to be looked at or further tested before we do this kind of surgery. Okay. So now it's November. They finally send everything to the insurance company. I get the approval. The problem was all that mumbo jumbo was set up. And they resubmitted my approval because they had to stop the approval for all that stupid stuff that happened with the insurance company. They resubmitted it, and I had to wait to get a real final answer in January 2016. Yes, January 2016. Let's say I think around the first week or January 16, I finally had to resubmit. I'm resubmitted, and then I got the approval about 2 to 3 weeks later. The reason why it was so quick this time was because everything was in place to set the approval up, but because I made some mistakes with my insurance company, they had to just make sure there wasn't a change in diagnosis, that everything was still the same with me. They just had to change the insurance. So they resubmitted, and then I got the approval sometime mid-January. Once I got the approval, I set up another appointment with the surgeon, like a kind of like pre-surgery appointment. Not my pre-op appointment, but my pre-surgical appointment, whatever, to discuss with her things. So I went in that day. I still remember this day to a full extent. I went in, I said to the nurse, I said, I just want to be sure. I know that I got the approval for the surgery, but I just want to double check before we go any further. I was in that room for at least 45 minutes. They were waiting. In my heart of heart, I said to myself, I know that this is going to happen. I know that this is it. Okay? I did not go through this for so long. And I just kept thinking positive thoughts. I envisioned in my mind, and I guess you can say this is positive affirmations, the law of attraction. I envisioned in my mind the day of the surgery happening, waking up afterwards, seeing my family and friends around me, knowing this is it. So I refused to believe anything else than them saying, yes, we're good. You got this approved. Waited 45 minutes. The doctor came in. Was it the doctor or the nurse? The nurse came in first and said, "You're approved." Tears of joy just ran down my face, and I could not describe how happy I was, because this is something that I have been wanting for so long. And I was just like, yes. And I was so happy. I gave her a hug. I was like, yes, thank you so much. The doctor came in, Dr. Sachs. She couldn't believe it. She was like, we're good, we're set. And I was crying with her. It was just, we were so happy. So, I was ecstatic. I texted my boyfriend. Well, he was my ex at the time, but whatever. I told my mom, I said, this is it. So, I went to speak with another person, I think in the finance department, another person in the medical department about setting up the date, what I needed to get done. She set up my pre-op appointment with my doctor, all that stuff. January 29th of 2016 was the day of my surgery. Okay. So all the tears are done. We're excited. It's happening. So January 29th, 2016, I believe it was a Friday. What they wanted for a few things was I was to stop eating at least 12 hours before the surgery. So I believe, again, I mentioned this other video, so I'll put up a time card. I think it goes here. You can't see because of the light, but it's going to show up like boop, right there. So, I stopped eating about 9 o'clock the night before. I slept pretty well. I was nervous, but I slept pretty good. My surgery was for early in the morning. I can't remember what time it was. So I had to be there. I think I had to be there at like 5 or 6 in the morning. I just remember it was dark. So I think it was 5 or 6. So anyway, so Chris had brought me to the hospital. They got me in the room. They actually wanted me to do a urine test, but since I had fasted, because no food, no water, anything, nothing at all, I'm like, you want me to do another urine sample? And they're like, yeah, I'm sorry, I know, but hey, we need to make sure that I wasn't pregnant, which I wasn't. So anyway, so I did the urine test, went in. The surgery, I believe, started at 7 or 8. I can't remember. I went in. I ended up having the surgery a little bit longer than, I think, again, I remember mentioned this before. So my surgery was supposed to be 4 hours. It ended up being 4.5 hours that I was under. I still kind of remember right before I fell asleep what I was talking to the nurses and the surgical staff about my family history and how my great-grandfather is Asian and all this stuff. I'm like, wow, really? And then knocked out, good night, Anyway, so I wake up. I'm in the post-op room. At that time, I actually had my cycle, and my biggest worry, I still remember saying this, once they woke me up, and I was in the surgery room, they woke me up. The first thing I said was, I hope I did not bleed on the sheets. And they're like, don't worry, it's fine. I'm like, I don't want to make a bet. That's like probably one of the most embarrassing things to wake up and think about. But that was the very first thing that came out of my mind. Anyway, so they bring me into the post-op room. I had a nurse sit with me. I was so hungry because by now this was like, let's say the surgery started about 7:30. By now it was like almost 11. 3 hours. Yeah, it was almost 11:30 going on 12. So, my family couldn't come into the room yet. I was just with the surgical nurse. I was high as a kite. I don't know what they had me on. Probably morphine. I felt the pressure on my chest. It wasn't extremely painful, but it was definitely uncomfortable. I just felt this tightening, this pressure, and this slight tingles of pain. It just wasn't fun. I was begging. I'm like, I need to eat something. Or like, I'm sorry, I can't give you food yet. So she just giving me like ice chips and a little bit of water. I couldn't have too much. Eventually, as time went on, my family came in. My boyfriend actually came in, and got to see me, and then my mom. And again, after some time, they put me in my room. My parents came there. I was starving. They finally got me to eat. They finally allowed me to eat. By this time, it was probably 5 o'clock in the evening. I specifically requested from my boyfriend, I just want salad, nothing heavy, just salad, light foods, high nutrient dense foods. Because again, I mentioned this in other videos. Remember that pain medication slows down the digestive system, which henceforth causes constipation. And I am someone that believes when your digestive system is clear, you are good. When you hold stuff in there, that's not good. Because a lot of the times when we are constipated, this leads to a whole slew of other problems. But that's something that we'll discuss in a whole another video. But anyway, I knew that I didn't want to end up being, full of stuff from the pain medication. So eventually they pulled me off of the morphine and they had me I had a choice to continue on morphine or take Tribidol, I can't remember the name. It's some type of Tylenol, it's some form of Tylenol, but a little bit stronger to help ease the pain. So I opted for that. They asked me several times, "Are you sure you don't want the morphine?" I said, yes, I don't want it. So I ate enough to feel comfortable. I honestly can't say I had an extreme amount of pain. It was uncomfortable. It wasn't easy, but hey, this is surgery. It's not going to be painless. Okay, you're gonna feel some pain. And I can't say this for everyone, but I was willing to tolerate it because I just knew that pain medication is not something that you want to just be stuck on because you've gone on something like this. I don't see the necessary need for it. Deal with a little bit of the pain that's gonna happen and push through it. Such is life. So, I was there overnight. They tested my BP and my heart rate several times, about every 2 hours. I did do a little sneak shower because I can't go 24 hours without showering because, no, sorry. So I was able to just make sure I washed the bottom half, clean, all the hot spots, as they like to say, clean my face so I can feel like a human being. Eventually, after the doctor came in to check on me, I left the following day around 12 or 1 in the afternoon. Now, the drains that I've heard everyone talk about. Not everyone gets drains, but I had drains because I believe because of the size of my breasts. So the drains had to stay in. I got out, the surgery was on Friday, I got out on Saturday. The drains had to stay in until that Wednesday. So I couldn't do much with the drains. I couldn't drive. I can't technically take a shower, but your girl did because I don't get down like that. So I did wash. Sorry, I did wash. You have to be very careful. So I couldn't drive. I couldn't do much. They gave me a prescription for Percocet, which again, I know I mentioned in another video. I ended up using that only about 2 times. I believe only twice. Mostly for me to get through the pain at night while I slept and for me to sleep, pretty comfortably, but after that I didn't take it. So the drains. Again, they were not comfortable. For a month or a half, I had to sleep on my back, which is, I don't like to sleep on my back like that, but that was probably one of the most annoying things. But anyway, so I had the drains removed. They weren't easy and they weren't fun to take out, but hey, it happened. I can still kind of feel on here. Is it here? So this was, my right breast was my larger one. And if I can feel where that kind of tubing was. Not that it's still there, but you could kind of feel where they were. So when she took them out, it was like, ugh. Yes, I had to measure. I'm not sure if anyone else said to do. I had to measure the amount that was that fell into the drains, into the little cups that were attached to the drains. I had to measure that. I think twice a day, write it down and give it to the surgeon, which everything turned out fine with that. So yeah, I had the drains moved on that Wednesday. Now, post-op recovery. Again, as I mentioned in other videos, I made sure that going into this surgery and coming out of this surgery, I maintained my health. Because, again, as I mentioned before, I'm going to say that several times. What you do to your body, how you treat your body, is going to make a world of difference when you go through something as drastic as this. If you allow yourself to eat shitty ass fucking food post-op during your recovery, please don't expect yourself to be bouncing off the walls right afterwards, okay? What you feed this, okay, is what you're gonna get out. That's just it. I made sure I was active. I made sure I went on long-ass walks. I mean, I got out on Saturday. Sunday, I didn't do much. That Monday, I went on a 2-mile walk. Okay, I had nothing else to do. I couldn't work. I couldn't work my job as a home care aide for a month. So what else am I supposed to do? I'm not going to sit in the house and go stir crazy. That's not me. I can't stand it. I went on long walks. No, it wasn't, earth-shattering, groundbreaking workouts, but a long walk is what mentally gets you, in that space of I'm doing what I need to do to help my body recover. I ate really healthy, really clean, lots of water, just rested when I needed to, but also moved when I had to. Okay. That following few weeks, went to the gym, did the stationary bike a few times. I really didn't start running until at least about 2 weeks, almost 3 weeks after the surgery. It did take my time to do that. I think I remember, again, this is so long ago. Can't remember everything. Technically, I was supposed to wait at least 2 months to do any type of physical activity, another month or so on top of that to do any running, but your girl, again, was not having that at all. Sorry, you can't tell me to stop something because I'm going to still do it. Anyway, but I made sure that the minute I felt any strain on here was when I stopped. But I kept moving. I ate really clean. I was eating really high carb, low fat foods, clean foods. And I know in my heart of hearts that doing that is what made my recovery so fast. Within a month, I was able to go back to the gym and do some push-ups, do some sit-ups, do some burpees. I couldn't run too much still at that point, but I was able to move my body and work out in the gym and get a good hour's workout. I mean, I was doing it. You can't do a surgery like this and use that as an excuse to be a blob for 2 months. No. You have to move. That's what this was made for. We weren't made to just sit around and blob and for the rest of our lives. That's not my perception of what our body is made for. If you feel otherwise and if you disagree, by all means, my dear, that's all on you. But if you are to get something like this surgery and use this, as most women do, as a stepping stone to start a serious weight loss journey, then start from right there and then. Eat clean foods, eliminate the processed foods, get rid of the high sodium foods, drink more water, get active. I'm not saying you need to go out and do a 3-hour workout. Go outside and walk. I was lucky at that time. The weather was pretty decent for me to throw on a few layers and go on a 2-mile walk. I had the time. I had nothing else to do. I know it's easy to just sit around and eat pizza and watch movies all day because you're like, hey, I'm supposed to be in recovery. Don't use that as an excuse. I mean, it just don't. If you were doing this to jumpstart your weight loss surgery, let that be your starting point right there and then. And say to yourself, this is what I'm going to do. And no one's asking you to make a huge lifestyle change. I'm saying make small changes every day so that this surgery that you had planned for, and if you're coming out of pocket, that you didn't waste at least $6 or $7 grand. And yes, this surgery can cost a lot of money. I'll get into the money portion after this spiel. Use this as a time to say, this happened. I'm going to use this and I'm going to move. So that's my portion on recovery. money. Okay. So since I had the surgery approved for, the only things I had to pay was for my surgery stay, my hospital stay, which was $75, and then I had to pay an additional, I think, 50 as a kind of copay for everything. Yes, it's not a lot. I was lucky that I had the surgery mostly approved of. When I looked at my explanation of benefits, this surgery was easily close to 8 grand, a little bit under $8,000. It's not cheap. It's not cheap. And it's a blessing that I'm grateful for every day of my life. There is nothing that I'm more grateful for. I mean, yes, you could be grateful for sunlight, water, air, and the ocean, of course. But doing something like this made such a difference in working out, in my confidence, in the clothes that I could buy now. I mean, I could buy a bikini, a bikini top. That was nothing that I ever saw myself wearing. I mean, it changed everything for me. I felt like a whole new woman, a whole new sense of confidence. Like, I went through something like this and I fucking fought for something like this. I'm gonna rock what the fuck I have, and I'm gonna work my body so that I can feel like the shit. Like, that's what this surgery did for me. It boosted my confidence level 10 times fold. And if some of you feel you needed a surgery like this to boost your confidence, that's lame. Well, screw you. Yes, I did. And I feel like a whole brand new woman. So, amen to that. If you feel how I feel. And give a thumbs up if you agree with what I'm saying. Anyway, so that's my story. That's how it happened. I don't regret anything. I had an amazing support team. I had an amazing surgeon. I had a post-op appointment with her. So it happened in January, and I had a post-op appointment with her in sometime in April. And after I saw her after that, I didn't have to see her again. I do have to go back for, I believe, another mammogram screening soon, which I don't really feel like doing because those are so uncomfortable. But I may have to go back for another one of those soon. Just because they found, lumps, and, we need to make sure everything's good. But, and that was it. So now, what size is Joanna now? So, I'll be honest, because I don't have to wear bras, I haven't went back to buy another bra because I'm like, dude, I really don't have to wear bras. But from what I believe, right now, I went from a 32 triple D. I believe I'm probably a 32C. C, maybe B, but probably a 32C. Comfortably a 32C, which is a pretty significant difference. Let's see if we're going like small, medium, large. I'm about a medium. Yeah. I haven't bought a bra. I'm like, hey, I don't have to wear them, so why should I buy them? That's just me. I mean, I know a lot of us are into, like, I like cute bras, but I'm like, why waste the money? I could spend it on vegan food. That's just how I feel. I hardly wear bras anymore, and I don't see the necessity. Let's go over how do they look. They look a lot smaller. I've posted several pictures of myself in bikinis on Instagram, so I'll put my Instagram here for you to see it. They look a lot smaller. Now that it's been a full year, the swelling definitely has gone down. Recently they got really itchy, and that's because now they're finally healing and settled in the skin. So, now that it's been a year, the swelling has gone down. They sit comfortably. So I did get a reduction, and so since they reduced, they kind of lifted a little bit. So now they sit up. They sit up nicely. So they're pretty. I kind of like the way they look. So, hey, kind of like that one. So yeah, they're comfortable. Again, I don't buy bras. I, again, don't feel the need to. Hey, why buy a bra when I could spend that on A falafel sandwich. I don't know. That's just me. So, yeah. Any more weight loss? Not really. My weight has maintained between like 155, 158. Depends if I'm on my cycle or what I've been eating, if I've been, good with my eating. So that's my story. Again, I don't regret it. I'm very happy with what happened. I have no regrets, as I keep saying, and it was the very best thing that has ever happened to me. It changed everything for me. I still think about it sometimes, and I look down and I'm like, oh my God, I waited so long for this. I mean, I started this process when I was probably about 25, and I'm 31 now, and it finally happened once after I turned 30, and I'm like, now I get to live the rest of my life with the body that I've worked so hard for. So hard for, both mentally, physically, spiritually. But so my next video next week will be my weight loss story, and then I'll do a separate video on my eating disorder. And also a whole video on, no, I think my next video will be weight loss / my vegan story, and the video after that will be about my eating disorder, because those are two separate topics. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I really appreciate it. I hope this answers everyone's questions. I hope that you guys ask me more questions, because I love to answer them, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.